All scientists have certain ethical responsibilities in their research consistent with protocols. Jones-Sieber's work on this topic is comprehensive, but we can suggest a few important criteria. Ethically responsible researchers have a duty to be transparent and open with their research, but this comes at a cost for the researcher. They open themselves up to criticism and potential public humiliation. If a researcher is committed to advancing science and obtaining the truth as best they can, this is not really a concern. No research should be above the scientific process. So let's focus on some things. First, the release of data. Openness, transparency, and knowledge advancement requires the data be released. Some academic journals require an author's data be archived and available for use and replication. As noted before, the National Science Foundation, a principal investigator, a PI, must put their data in an accessible depository for public use after completing the project. Sieber has stated that most scientists are normally required to keep specific data sets available for 10 years. There's no rule of thumb here, but the key point is the obligation to release the data, particularly when it's funded by a public entity, is essential. Next, transparency in data management. Disclosing how one transforms and codes data is also necessary for proper evaluation of independent sources. Yet another is conflict of interest. Clear process to avoid the actual appearance of a conflict of interest must be in place. Conflicts of interest are particularly important for the peer review process. Poor and misleading work can reach the public domain if there's a bias in the peer review process. Conflict of interest rules must be clearly stated for purposes of evaluation. Again, looking at the National Science Foundation, there are specific rules concerning principal investigators who have collaborated in the past and therefore cannot review each other's work for years, and in some circumstances, never. NSF program officers oversee the review process and are also subject to strict fraternization rules. Under normal circumstances, people with professional and personal associations will, for example, buy a drink for each other. Not so at the NSF. These types of activities are forbidden. Yet another issue in ethically responsible research is deception in reporting results. Concealing the potential effects of treatment on human subjects is considered a major ethical and, in many cases, legal violation. Concealing contrary results that run counter to a scientist's preferred theory is also another form of deception that is no less egregious. One other issue, ethically responsible research also aids in understanding issues when you're not an expert. You don't have to be an expert in this issue or these issues, but if you know the protocols of ethically responsible research, it will help you in determining whether or not what you're reading or what you're hearing about is valid.